Hey everyone, and welcome to lesson 2 of the Game Dev for Beginners course. In this lesson I'm going to be talking about one of my favourite subjects, which is animations. I'll show you quickly where we're heading. So if I play this game, you'll see 3 different animations we're going to add. The first is the explosions happening on these enemy ships. The second is this jet flame or afterburner effect on the spacecraft. And the third, when I press space in a moment, you'll see a laser pop out of the right side of the player spaceship. And there's a little animation at the start of that to fire it. So that's where we're heading. And now I'll just say a little bit about sprite animations to make sure we're all on the same page. So sprite animations use sprite frames or individual images to add motion to a sprite object, just like in a flipbook, where every single image of the flipbook slightly moves the object to make it look like it's moving. And the resulting animation is called a clip. So if you've seen any old movies or TV shows like Spirited Away, Futurama, or The Simpsons, then you've seen that technology in action. Sometimes it can look a little bit jittery, but most of the time it looks quite smooth. All right, I have to talk about sprite sheets before we get into it because you'll deal with these a lot. So when you're searching for images online, you'll find something called a sprite sheet, and the sprite sheet is just one large image that holds all the individual frames of your animation in one file. So for example, this one actually has 4 different animations all in one file, and the top line, which is called a basic attack, is showing as an animation here. Right, so those are going to be what we're looking for. Let's get started. So the first thing we'll do is add this explosion animation. So if I look for explosion sprite animation online, go to Google search, there's plenty to choose from. Like I said last time, if you're just getting into this, maybe use the open game art links to start with because they're reliable and easy to use. I've already actually downloaded this PNG file for this animation, so I'll just show you that in my folder. Here it is here. And if I open the file, yeah, it looks nice and bold. It's pretty nice looking animation. So that's what I want to put into the game. To put that in, I just need to, like we did in the last lesson, insert a new object, a sprite object, and click in the layout. And then I'm going to use the drop down here on the load frames icon. I'm going to load an animation this time. And I'm going to select our explosion sprite sheet. Okay, now it's going to ask me I'm going to import it as from a sprite strip, and it's going to ask me how many frames there are across and down that image. So I need to check that quickly for myself. So there were 4 frames across and 4 frames down. So I'm going to type that in. Okay, click import. And you see down the bottom here, each individual frame has been imported. It has been kind of extracted and imported, which is very nice. I can go ahead and play the animation now. So if I preview it by clicking that, you can see it running as well. It did actually create a new animation when I did that. So I'll go and delete the old one. I'll rename the new one. I'll just call it explode. Okay. And it was pretty slow when I tested it before, so I might speed it up a bit. So if I change the speed here, this is the frames per second. So that's the number of times the frame is changed per second. If I change it to 15, then that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to keep it as that. For the purposes of testing, I'm actually also going to check this loop thing here. And loop means it's just going to play over and over again. And that's so when I go to test it in the actual layout, that I'll be able to just watch it and see if it looks good. Okay. So I'll close the preview, close that, and we have our animation in the layout. So now I'm going to put it over one of my enemy spacecraft. And I see already it looks a little bit on the small side, so I'll go and change the scale. I'll make it 1.5 times its original size, so 150%. That looks a bit better. I'm also going to rename this sprite. I'm going to call it explosion. Rename this object type. So now I can drag that on and add some more. I'll add another one in the middle of space just to see what it looks like on the background. And let's play it now and see what it looks like. So there we go. So they look about the right size. Probably looks a bit like, it looks like it's kind of not, it really does look like it's on top of things at the moment. So I want to make it look like it blends in a little bit more. And I can do that by, so if I click on the object type again, it selects all of the sprites at once. And I can do this thing here. I can change the blend mode to additive. Now when I play it, yeah, it looks like it blends in with the spacecraft a little bit more, which makes it look like it's actually coming from the spacecraft. And I like that, so I'm going to keep that. Okay. And don't forget to save your projects as you go by clicking the Save button. A word on that blend effect. If you did want to read a bit more about some of the other effects you can find in Construct, so then go to the Construct website, go to the Resources manual, and that was an effect. So if I search for effects, and then click on effects, scroll down, there's the blend mode that we changed, and it shows you what the other blend modes would do. Okay, so yeah, if you're curious about something or not sure about something, always check out the documentation. So that leads to your first challenge. If you haven't already followed me, here's your challenge: create an explosion of your own. So yeah, find the explosion sprite animation online. Right click to add it to your layout, and then load animations frames. Make sure you check the loop animation property for testing, and then you can also change the animation speed while you're in the animator. Rename the object type explosion, and then drag it onto your layout. Place some of them around your scene. Set the effects blend mode to additive to make it look like it's coming from the spacecraft. And you can also add a fade behavior if that's useful to you. Play test and adjust the properties to your liking. Okay, I hope that went well. Now I'm going to show you the next piece, which is to add the laser. Alright, so I've already searched and found some another animation for the laser, so I'm just going to show you this to start with. I'm showing you this one particularly because all of the frames of the animation in this one are in individual files. So I'll show you how to add an animation with individual files in a moment. And I've already downloaded it, so here it is. If I go to Sprite Lasers, Laser Sprites, this is what their animation looks like, or animations, just a bunch of different files. And if I look closely, I think that these green ones make up a 3-frame animation. Likewise, I think maybe this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one, they might make up another animation. I think I'm going to go with that first one just to keep it simple. So yeah, so if I want to add that, again, add a sprite and add it to the layout. This time I'm going to click load frames, okay, and find the frames that I want. So yeah, there was this one, this green one, and this green one. I think they match together. Yep, they're loaded up. I'll review it to see what happens. It's a bit slow. I might speed that up as well. Yeah, so that looks like an animation that works, but it's also kind of hard to imagine it being a laser and moving across the screen without actually doing it. So I'm going to need to make it fly across the screen and also trigger it by pressing the space bar so I can really see what it looks like in the game. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'll rename it as well. F2 to rename. I'll call it laser. No, I'll call it shoot. Okay. Alright, so yeah, if I want it to fire, I'm going to place it near the player. I'm going to scale it down, maybe 50%. Yep, that looks good. It's going to come from somewhere there. Great. And I want to start by adding a bullet behavior to make it fly across the screen. So I go add behavior, bullet. Okay. And if I play this, we'll see what the bullet behavior does straight away. Okay, it flies across the screen, but it's pretty slow. Not a very convincing laser, is it? So let's try changing the speed to 900 and play it again. Yeah, now that looks more like a fast laser, doesn't it? I want to add another behavior so that when it leaves the world layout, it's actually destroyed, like it's taken away. So I'll add also this destroy outside layout. Cool. So you won't see that happen, but if I play it when it leaves the world layout, it will disappear. And yeah, so we're sort of halfway there. When we play it, you might be able to see. No, you can't really see. That's the problem. Is when you run the game, the the animation happens right at the beginning, and you can't actually see it when the game's loading. So we're gonna have to make it so that I can press space bar and so I can see the animation happening. Alrighty. So in order to add that space bar triggering, I'm going to need to show you a little bit of event sheet coding. So this is the event sheet. I'm not. We're going to get much deeper into event coding in the next lesson, but for now, and yeah, just follow me for now, and next week we'll add a bit more knowledge to that coding. Okay. So what I want to do is to add a condition for the key on the keyboard on key pressed. I'm going to press the space bar on mine. So when the space bar is pressed, I've got an event block now, and it's got an empty action. Okay, and now what I want is to I want to do three things. I want the laser to appear. I want the bullet behavior to start, so it flies across the screen, and I also want the animation to play. All right. So before I actually do that, I should probably I'll disable the bullet behavior so it doesn't just fly across the screen straight away, and I'll just I'll make it invisible as well, so it's not showing when the game starts. I'll just show you what that looks like. So it's disappeared again. It's not there. Okay. So all I need to do that is I add an action, Sprite. I also want to rename this so it's got a meaningful name. So I'm going to call this the laser. So yeah, all I need to do is add an action, laser, and then I'm looking for the first thing to do is set it to visible. So set visible, visibility to visible, great. The second thing is to start its bullet or enable its bullet behavior. So if I type bull and then set enabled, set it to enabled and done. And then the last thing is to start that animation. So if I type anim and then click on start, it'll start the current animation if it was stopped. We've only got one animation, so that'll work for now. And I'll set it from the beginning. Okay, cool. So when I head back to the layout now, the laser is not there for now, but as soon as I press the space bar, I should see it traveling. Let's see. Yeah, there we go. Again, I can't do it again because I'll have to reload the game to do that again. So let's try it again. Have a look at the animation. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. It looks like it's working well. So there's your second challenge. So in your second challenge, add the laser. So find your own laser or bullet sprite animation online, add it to the layout, place it next to your player, rotate and scale it if necessary, add those behaviors, and then open an event sheet and add that event block like I showed to make the laser triggerable when you press the space bar, for example. And lastly, of course, playtest and adjust it to your liking. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed that. We'll go now to the last piece of the puzzle, which is to add the afterburner or jet flame effect to the back of the spacecraft. Again, I found online an asset that I like for this one, so feel free to use mine. Of course, you can go and find something else as well. If I show you that file now, this is another sprite sheet this time. So if I open the sprite sheet, oops, there it is. Cool. So they look quite similar, but they do actually work as an animation. So that's what I want to put into my game now. So again with the sprite, loading an animation. Go back to here. So sprite strip. How many are there? So it's 8 across and 4 down. Okay. So 8 by 4, import. And there's all our frames down the bottom. Let's have a look at the preview. So that's pretty slow, so I'm going to speed it up again. Yep, I like that. I'll delete the empty animation. I will change the name on this animation to jet and restart. I'm going to click loop on this one as well, and that's actually the behavior I want to run in the game. So eventually when the player is pressing keys in the game, I want this jet flame to just be playing non-stop until they let go of a key. So cool. All right. So yeah, except now the orientation is wrong. It's not pointing in the right direction. So I'll open it up again, and I'm going to rotate it to the left. So I'm going to use the drop down here, rotate it to and apply it to the whole animation. Cool. So now every frame in the animation has been rotated. Okay, that looks a bit better. And now I've positioned it next to the craft. I want to make it fit kind of the back of the craft. So I'm going to scale it down to 50%. Yeah, that looks nice. Looks like it fits there well. I'll zoom in a little bit. Yep, that looks good to me. So I'm ready to play test it. Let's play and see what happens. So yeah, it looks pretty cool. It's working, but of course when I move the player away, it stays behind, which is not great. So let's fix that up now. What I really need here is I need those two objects to be joined together. I need the jet and the spacecraft to be joined together. To do that, I'm going to create what's called a parent-child relationship between the two objects. So I'm going to make the spacecraft a parent of the child jet object. Okay, and to do that, all I need to do is to select one and then shift to select the other, and then right-click on the one I want to be the parent, the spacecraft, go to hierarchy, and add selection to this instance. Now there's a little arrow which says, okay, the spacecraft is now a parent of this jet flame animation object. So if I play it again now and move the spacecraft around the screen, the animation actually follows it. Okay. So that was it for animations. You've got 3 animations working there. Of course, when we move further into the course, we'll make them happen at specific times, like when you shoot one of the enemy crafts. But yeah, have fun playing with animations, and maybe come up with some other animations for this game that I haven't thought of.